mystery writers. Welcome to Write a Killer Mystery, where we learn to make a good mystery great. I'm Zara Altair, and today we're going to talk about conflict and menace in your mystery story. What's the difference? Where do you use them? And I think this is really important, especially if you're writing your first mystery. It's important to understand the difference. First, I want to thank my supporters on Patreon who support this video series and my writing. And if you would like to join us, there's a link in the description below. Okay, so conflict, menace. What is the difference? And which drives your mystery story, I think, is the most important thing. What is it that you want to use in your mystery? Obviously, to make your story interesting and to keep readers engaged, you want to get your sleuth in trouble, give them a lot of trouble, make things difficult, because your reader's wondering, how is he or she going to get out of this, or how are they going to get the answer they need? So good storytelling definitely needs conflict, because conflict does build that suspense by creating tension. It creates tension. So for a reader, tension raises the question of what will happen next, and the tension keeps them reading more. That's kind of the basis of getting your readers, keeping your readers focused on your story and not putting your book down. All right. So today I'm going to talk about how a traditional mystery is not a thriller or an action adventure story. There may be elements of either of those two things in your mystery, but in let's talk about what happens in a thriller first. In a thriller, the clock is ticking, and the reader knows the antagonist. The reader knows who the bad guy is right from the get-go, and there's this conflict happening between the protagonist and the antagonist. It's a battle of good versus evil, and every second counts. All right. So thrillers and action adventures stories often use menace to heighten tension. And menace is a person or a thing likely to cause harm. It's a threat or danger to your protagonist. So in a thriller, the known antagonist schemes to harm the protagonist, especially in a malignant or hostile manner. And the antagonist directly threatens the protagonist with intent to harm. They may threaten to blow up the civic center with everyone there, and your hero has to save the day, save all the people, and save the building, right? So it's up to the protagonist to find the bomb, avert disaster, and save the day. So stories based on menace, like thrillers, use it repeatedly to threaten the protagonist. So your protagonist is often in danger. So in a mystery, you may use menace toward the end of your story, when the villain feels trapped or knows the sleuth is about to reveal them, but the menace doesn't happen until the villain is revealed, until your reader knows who the villain is. And that menace is a last-ditch effort to just get rid of the protagonist who's going to reveal the truth. So the main goal of a Menace-driven story is to overcome the protagonist. All right? In a mystery, the villain is unknown. It's unknown for most of the story. So most of the tension comes from conflict, but not menace. So conflict happens when your character wants something, their goal. It can be an internal goal, or it can be that external goal of finding the villain, and someone or something prevents them from reaching the goal. So conflict, if you think of it as someone trying to prevent your protagonist from doing the next thing they want to do, it's a good way to think of it. So your main character has that external goal to reveal the villain, and your protagonist also has an inner goal that provides more conflict. But either way, the conflict, the tension comes from those preventive activities, all right? Conflict is obstruction. And throughout most of your mystery novel, your character cannot react to the external good because people get in their way. So your detective must wait for evidence results, or she must find the right suspects to do interviews, or the suspects hold back information, or suspects go missing. There's lots of ways that you can obstruct your detective's search for the truth. So it is the nature of a mystery novel to put obstacles in the way of your detective's search. But every time your protagonist tries to overcome an obstacle, they meet another obstruction. And that's how we build tension in our mystery novels. You can write a narrative filled with problems, and just like life, at times these problems seem insurmountable. But the difference is the main goal in a mystery is to reveal the antagonist. So your antagonist is working behind the scenes to not be revealed, so your detective and your readers do not know who that antagonist is. Whereas in a thriller or an action-adventure story, you know up front who the bad guy is, and you know up front all the shenanigans and machinations they're doing to try to thwart that protagonist. In a mystery, you want to create conflict by building obstructions, but not necessarily menace. So, although your mystery may have a menacing scene, the main conflict for your sleuth is the obstruction to finding the truth, revealing that villain. And the types of conflict aren't as important as how you use them in the story. The secret to compelling conflict that drives the story, is integrating it in the right places in your story so it is integral to your mystery. So it doesn't feel piled on top of the story. Dynamic scenes use conflict to change the character's scene goal from the beginning to the end of the scene. So remember, a scene is like a mini story with a beginning, middle, and end, and your detective sleuth starts out at the beginning of the scene with a goal in mind, and the conflict comes in the middle of the scene when your detective can't reach their goal. All right. So conflict arises for your detective from a decision they must make. She may need one more piece of information to make a decision, or he may grasp at a thought only to have it take him on a wild goose chase. And while your protagonist is clearing the path toward the villain, he may lose a friendship, question his place in society, or struggle trying to live up to his father's reputation. There's just many ways you can provide conflict within your mystery. And inner goals may put your protagonist in direct conflict with their external goal of finding the villain. And it could be as simple as your character's prejudice against a key suspect's way of life, or it could be as critical as overcoming the fear to take the next step. So you want to build conflict in your mystery. The conflict makes your mystery mysterious. And if you want to include menace, save that menace until the climax, until the villain is actually revealed. So satisfy your mystery fans. If your mystery reader wanted a thriller, they would buy a thriller, right? So make sure you give your mystery readers the type of conflict they expect in a mystery, and you won't disappoint them. All right. So if you're new to this video series, just starting writing your mystery, or want to learn more about writing a mystery, the course, Write a Killer Mystery, walks you through each step from the story idea all the way through to writing the end. And if you're interested, check it out. There's a link in the description below. All right, thank you so much, and keep writing, and I will see you next time.